hour. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Smart Mark hour. Mark hour. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Smart Mark hour. Mark hour. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Smart Mark hour. Mark hour. Check 1, 2.
All right, well, we're talking about little Shawn Michaels here in this episode of Unscripted right before we started recording the call. Shawn Michaels actually said, because after they converted over to NXT 2.0, he said, hey, any good, bad decisions? He's all, that was on me. Because he said, he was basically pointing out, because everyone thought it was Vince and Bruce Pritchard fucking up NXT 2.0. He said that was all on him. He said he was the one in charge of creative down there.
That's sweet of him.
So...
Whatever. Him and Vince have always been thick as thieves.
I don't believe it.
I don't believe it.
I mean, I don't know.
You mean Shawn Michaels with the most beautiful eyes ever?
He said this after,
no way.
It's not like
after
Vince was
he
there.
found his smile, it was the most beautiful smile ever.
I just don't believe he accepts the responsibility for anything. That's weird.
Now he's so we saw that he's now vice president of creative, or no, was it creative or talent relations?
It's an oddly worded title.
Yeah, it's creative and talent development or something like that.
So, but he said this. He claimed it's not like he claimed
cowboy.
It's not like
thin cowboy hat.
He didn't claim
he's vice president of
responsibility.
creating chaps for new.
We sound like that 20-man podcast right now. He didn't claim that responsibility when Vince was still there. He claimed it after. So it's like, I understand it, like if he was lying if Vince was still there and said that, but
Vince was right behind him.
He claimed it after. So he said any bad storylines or decisions was on him. So
you want to know why that's not true? Because he just got promoted to the main roster.
No, but he's talking about NXT 2.0 because
that's what I mean.
When Triple H. Well, yeah, I don't know.
If he got promoted right now, and the recent product of NXT 2.0 is bad, and he's like, "That's all me." I'm like, "Then why'd you get promoted? I don't want to see that shit on the main."
Well, not to mention,
that's how I know it was Bruce and it was Vince. Everybody knows
about the fucking Reading Rainbow set.
Bruce
about that, right?
Yeah.
About the what?
The Reading Rainbow set. You know what?
Yeah, it's the Reading Rainbow.
Oh yeah, the stupid, the color. Well, I know he didn't have that decision, but he said as far as booking goes, not like making the whole decision of changing it to colorful.
What was so wrong with the booking for the last 2 years?
I actually like the matches. I like the matches, but I mean,
there's nothing wrong with the booking.
It's got more
it's a developmental show.
No, of course, it's way different than what it was before.
Dumb. Who cares
it's nowhere near.
I mean, I know they attempt to make great storylines, but they're still NXT and it's still developmental. I don't give a shit.
And arguably, it should have never got as big as it got.
That's how I look at it. That's how I look at it.
What'd you say, Jess?
But
it should have never got as big as it got. Like Triple H went through a period where he's like, "I'm gonna hire every single fucking popular indie wrestler in the world." So he went out and got Samoa Joe. He got
got Kevin Owens,
Adam Cole. He got Kevin Owens. He got Sami Zayn. He got everybody. That's not a developmental.
It's not.
It is to a certain extent, but if you're not going to do stuff on NXT,
it's developmental for those guys to WWE.
Because they, even though as popular as they were on the indie scene, they still don't know the WWF style. Like they still have to
that's what I was going to
learn
say.
that.
If that taught them that way, but it did not. Like he hired them and said, "Fucking go nuts here." Like Shinsuke, totally different wrestler in NXT than he is on the main roster. All of them are, and that. I think that, and maybe that's what Vince got onto him about. So Vince was probably right. He was too aged to pull it back, if that makes any sense. Vince just didn't have it anymore. But Vince was right. Like, listen, you basically just made another wrestling promotion. That's all you did. You didn't make the developmental territory for me. You just made your
promotion that was making money and
you made Triple H's WWE. That's what you made.
I mean, why complain about it at that point? When it was doing so good.
Well, no, and it was good. We all love the product.
But I know Vince has said this is supposed to be developmental. They're not supposed to be out doing our fucking main roster, damn it.
That's what started happening. It's like they were putting fucking 18,000 people in for takeovers, and we went and saw the New Orleans show. I still think about to this day.
Fantastic.
Huge. That was an awesome show.
Amazing.
Top 10 show I've ever been to.
Yep.
Yeah, and so I think that when you think about it, yes, do you miss that product? Sure. But Vince's whole thing was like, you're not supposed to be making something that when I pull them up, they're in shock. So he would pull the talent up, and he's like, you can't even do 80% of what you did down there.
And they're like,
oh, I hate this place. And then that's what started,
Kevin
everything.
Nash just on his recent episode of his podcast, he said that backstage, like as soon as anyone from NXT got up, he said it was like there were people just waiting to sabotage anything Triple H did.
Oh yeah.
And, no matter what, it was just so
They weren't ready for the developmental territory did not do its job to get it ready for the main roster. Now, that has nothing to do with the fact that NXT Black and Gold was awesome. It has nothing to do with that fact.
Well, I think it put them on a main stage, though. It gave them that like bigger stage because those are bigger shows than any regular indie show.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think from that standpoint. Well, no, but from that standpoint, it gets you ready for that big crowd.
You being somebody's assistant, and then they're just like, yeah, go crazy, cuz. Like, show me all your ideas every morning, and you write everything down, and you're so good. And then you finally get promoted, and they're like, oh, no, you can't. We don't want 90% of your ideas. Go fuck yourself. Like, you're going to do this template.
I want you to follow this step one. That's like having AAA Ball
you're gonna be like,
hosting 50,000 fans.
Well, and maybe that's Triple H thinking that he was going to have Pool and not, let those guys get
this is just me guessing as a fan. I think that Triple H maybe thought he was going to get more power back then. So he's like, if I show Vince that I can make this Black and Gold NXT like today's product, maybe he'll let me change the main roster a little bit to make it hipper and cooler. And then Vince is like, yeah, we're not going to do that. We're fine.
But see, my whole thing, I think Triple H was also like, well, if we can't do the good stuff on the main roster and you want to keep doing your sports entertainment cartoony shit, at least let us have this on a grand stage, not as grand as the main roster.
Triple H did that cartoony shit
still
for 20
have the
years.
pro wrestling.
But it was never meant like that, because that's the point. It was always supposed to be developmental.
Well, yeah, and Vince's side.
And maybe, and that's a good point, cuz that's a good point. Maybe it got to the point where Triple H was trying to negotiate with Vince, like, hey, why don't we dedicate the first hour of Raw to NXT? You never know what the backstage talks were like. And then Vince might have been like, dude, you're getting too big for your fucking britches. Like, that's not supposed to be WWE B. It's supposed to be developmental, and you can't.
And we don't know.
But let us not forget that as soon as Triple H, I'm not a Triple H apologist by any means, but as soon as he went out with heart issues, they dismantled it. As soon as he was clear,
and that was what Nash was talking about. That Nash said they were waiting for any moment to just sabotage him every time. But to me, I think Triple H looked at it as too, like, look, you have all these hardcore fans that want to see this stuff on the main roster, but since you're not going to give it to them on the main roster, let us have this. It's not going to be as big as the main roster, but it's going to be bigger than a regular indie show, and we'll still cater to the sports entertainment side.
Well, I agree. No, I agree with that 100%.
But I don't know, because
I agree with that 100%.
It just seems silly that they would sabotage something that was making money.
Vince,
people were like,
Vince obviously like
enjoying.
Vince obviously liked some of those guys, like Owens and Sammy. They still had prominent spots, no matter what, even if they weren't going for the title. Vince liked
but those guys
adjusted
quickly to Vince. But, they could read the room too.
So
like
Kevin
Owens and Sami Zayn know what they can adapt.
I think that
NXT those guys can adapt.
But even though NXT was different from the main roster, it still prepped them for that. And you're still interacting with all the WWE people. So it still conditioned some of those guys, regardless of how different the styles were. I mean, like Vince, he gave guys like Kevin Owens, Sammy, Samoa Joe, they were even giving him like a backstage role there for a while. Finn Balor, regardless of what we want to say, they gave him spots on TV all the time. There were certain guys that I think, regardless of how Vince maybe
and really like NXT, if I'm being honest, like what ruined it to me was when they took it off the network and they put it up against AEW. Yeah, I was like, just ruined it. Like, you just
too much
ruined
pressure.
It.
Just
they were trying to push every week to try to prove a point, and I was like, it was so good when it was just on the network by itself. Like,
see, that may have been Vince. Maybe Triple H wouldn't have done that. That may have been Vince.
Yeah, it could be.
I mean, they put up a good, that's AEW's #1 show, and the WWE's third brand show was putting up a pretty good, decent fight against their flagship show. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if that's really was really a war like everyone wants to call it, but.
Oh no, it was not. It was absolutely.
Everyone wants to call it a war. It's like because your third brand is going against their first brand.
Going up against it. Vince would never risk it, putting up his A against their A, but it was his way of kind of showing, look, we can show you up with our B's and C's.
I'm sorry, but
that's all Vince. That's all Vince.
Raw and SmackDown still would. I mean, look, and this goes into the next. AEW is somewhat of a topic on here today. I don't think it would have made a difference. I think Raw and SmackDown still would have beaten AEW because look at.
Oh, what do you mean think?
They would.
Oh, I know they would have. So
what do you mean think? It would have been a slaughter.
Look what happened.
But he didn't risk it, is all I'm saying. He didn't move
Kenny Omega and Punk returned, and their ratings actually dipped about 30,000 viewers. So it's like, and that kind of proves the point where like people are like, oh, like Kenny Omega.
Yeah, but they were still like still #1 on Wednesdays. Like it's fine.
But they're not going against anybody. So like,
yeah, there's other television shows.
I mean, there's other television shows, but like when it's Wednesday, like I don't know, like and I mean. They were like #2, I think.
There's a lot of options, because there's a lot of shit to watch.
I mean, there's a lot of shit to watch on anything, anyways, right now.
Yeah,
exactly.
But that like kind of like
their ratings are never going to be like WCW was. Their ratings are actually way above average.
You're never going to see 5s. Yeah, you're never going to see 4.5s. That's gone.
Yeah,
I think what's ruining it though is like
even threes are gone
because everyone like it's kind of like it's a reality check because we all like Kenny Omega, we all like the guys from New Japan, but maybe that in that point Vince, that's where Vince is right. It's like this is what as shitty as we didn't like a lot of the stuff that was going on Raw and SmackDown when Vince was in charge and everything, but look at the ratings they were getting. Not the best ratings, obviously, compared to the Attitude Era, but it's kind of a reality check. It's like, dude, the hardcore wrestling scene, it's not going to draw what a Roman Reigns, a John Cena, and you got to give Vince credit on that point, I guess.
Vince has proved his point a billion times on that. It's like we would get frustrated over the years. Why is LT in the main event of WrestleMania? Why is this that? And it's like, well, why do you think like? Why is Mike Tyson? It's just, I'm like, yeah, but
casuals, bro.
Vince,
Casuals,
dude, Vince is making so much money off that, the media attention, everything. Like, there's a reason why he brings Ronda in and why he gives Brock whatever he wants. There's
Jess,
reasons
if you
why.
Weren't a wrestling fan, but if you weren't a wrestling fan, but you love Mike Tyson, which you do, he's your favorite boxer.
Yeah, I'd be all over it. I'd watch it.
And you'd be like, Tyson's at WrestleMania?
Yeah.
I might get that pay-per-view. Well, let me see what friends get, and I'll go to his house. And then it draws you in, possibly makes.
I think the beauty of us being
That's
like kind of all WWE fans at heart, maybe. Well, Joe was kind of a mixture of both, but like us all kind of getting in because of WWF. I don't think I ever took offense to whenever hardcore wrestling fans would start bitching about Vince's media that he's always trying to pitch to them the general media and he wants casuals and all that.
But
people get so offended.
He has them.
I was used to it. I've been used to it. It's like we just grew up in that shit. Yeah, we're going to see Mr. T. We're going to see Mike Tyson. We're going to see Lawrence Taylor. We're going to see, I don't know.
Point.
I just got
He
used
was
to
doing that WrestleMania 1. Liberace was in WrestleMania.
We're going to see Zeus.
And then not to mention, there's a conscious decision to go after children, a huge segment of millions and millions of people, young
like
families.
Not
in that way.
Jesus, Craig.
But nobody.
Show, Craig.
There's a lot of folks with kids that are never going to let them see John Moxley bleed like a stuck pig for 2 hours every.
And that's millions and millions of people
in
an interview 20 times.
Wow. Right. It's a conscious
I like
decision.
That, but
No. What I'm saying Vince McMahon made a conscious decision to go after those millions of kids and families, where AEW is just you can't.
Would our parents?
I'll open up this can of worms.
When we were 9 years old, would our parents have let us like watch Saturday morning wrestling if they were saying shit and bullshit and ass and you're a bitch and all that stuff? No way. Like oddly, like my parents were okay with seeing somebody get hit with a steel chair. But if somebody said bitch, they'd be like, no.
If we were 10, 15 years too late, I don't think my parents would have let me watch her in the Attitude Era at times. We were old enough to understand it. But if we were,
bra
10 years
matches and all that, there's no way.
Well, see, and that
parents got way less responsible than
as much as I like ECW and I like more edgier content, and we all love titties, but I don't want to see that on wrestling. Like, I want to watch pro wrestling because I still want it to.
Who here saw some titties?
Emulate. I still want it to emulate a combat sport. I want it to be an emulation of a combat sport.
I know exactly what
we know it's not. We know it's scripted.
Can we all just calm the fuck down?
But I still want it to be more closer to reality than some stupid R-Truth was taking a shit and Ricochet fell through the fucking tile floor and. Stupid shit. But
from day one, it's always been a soap opera. It's always there's always that aspect.
Well, wait a minute. Time out right there. You really don't think that Eddie Guerrero put a laxative in Big Show's burrito? You don't believe that? Is what you're trying to tell me?
No, I'm not saying that.
Bullshit, my friend.
I'd rather
bullshit.
As funny, as that
Big Show shit
I'd rather
his pants.
Not.
You're saying Mae Young did not give birth to Mark Henry's hand.
They totally have. Can I
I'd rather not see
that.
You, my friend, are full of shit.
Well, can I crap on something for like 5 minutes? Because I don't know if you were going to bring this into it, but I know we're freestyling a little bit.
Probably.
But
Hogan is the best wrestler. I'm glad you brought that up, Dave. Because
nobody's exactly what I was
sorry.
about.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Can we talk about all the bullshit articles that get written because supposedly CM Punk went into business for himself like this week, and how you're never going to know if that
we were
going to
talk about that, so
for at least 20 years. You won't even know if that really is that really what happened? I'm like, I don't want to see your writing. I don't want to see it all over my page. Take your shit elsewhere. Is it a good promo? And I don't know because I didn't see it. I don't watch AEW like the rest of you. But hey, if it was good, just enjoy it. If he went into business for himself, I'll read about it in a documentary. I'll see it in a documentary later.
There's a whole bunch of angles on that.
Stop trying to dig for stuff that may not be there, and just go watch it.
I hope they're clever enough to make that it's actually to work, and they're building off of like
this is the new kayfabe. Because
I hope that's what I hope actually brings back kayfabe. Is that
maybe there is
actually someone give a 30-second overview of what we're talking about? By the way, for those that might not know.
Yeah.
So Adam Page cut a promo on CM Punk.
This is in build up for Double or
their
Nothing,
title
right?
match. Yeah, but apparently, so there's like 2 promos. So there was that promo where he basically said, "You're back," or a champion is not defined by what they do in the ring. It's also by after the record button stops. And
when they think nobody's watching.
Yeah, when you think no one's watching backstage, blah blah blah. So that whole thing, and then I guess I didn't read too much in this
fucking
one.
Perfect, whatever.
No, that's what Paige said to Punk in the promo. So that's why Punk, they think Punk went into business. And
I say good to that. I said that's a good dig.
I agree with it. But I also think it's also, there's another promo which I didn't read the details of this one, but he made a reference to Colt Cabana. That whole, remember when Colt Cabana said, when Colt Cabana,
it was on the Go Home show.
Yeah, when Punk was supposed to like cover Colt Cabana's lawyer fees for playing that episode,
and he didn't.
Punk, and he didn't. So there was also that. So that's why. And then Punk, he cut that promo on AEW about like, you want to have a match here? You know who's from here? Adam Page. So I'm going to challenge you to a match. Page didn't come out because either he wasn't there or he was like, this is not part of the show.
It wasn't part of the show.
And then he calls him a coward and stuff like that. And then he says, the apology better be as loud as the disrespect. First off, if you're asking for an apology, I think anyone asks for an apology like that, I think you're a fucking piece of
he
shit
ran that
already,
argument. He did that again. Did he do that in WWF? Like
it's
with Vince
promo,
already?
Man.
Like 15 years ago.
I truly believe. Every time
I hope
that guy
it's a
comes
work.
out on stage, like I got less and less respect for him.
I want to feel and think it's a work, but I don't think Tony Khan is that clever enough to make it a work. I don't know if it is.
He's not.
I don't know what are you talking about. He's been like this the whole time. Why do you not give Tony Khan the credit? Is he Vince? No, not even close. Tony Khan.
No, I wouldn't even. Vince. I mean, Vince wouldn't have come up with something.
Well,
maybe.
But
Vince
I'm saying,
would. I don't know. Triple
Maybe
H
he
would.
did take a dig. I don't know. I don't know like what happened. But at the same time,
I would hope it's a work. I would hope it's a work from the straight. From the
I
back.
sincerely believe that it's a work.
I believe the MJF stuff's a work.
Yeah,
I believe that's a work.
Think about it like this. You got people like Jericho. You got all these great minds in the back that have done wrestling for decades. There's probably 100 years of wrestling knowledge by wrestlers in that room. If they tell you something, if Daniel Bryan tells you something, or Bryan Danielson, I'm sorry, or CM Punk says, I think this will work, who's Tony Khan to say, yeah, I'm not going to do that? He's going to say,
owner of the
go
company?
for it. Yeah. So what?
If they come up with it.
But that's what I'm saying. I think he has more control than people think. I think that.
Of course he does.
But it's funny that we're dissecting this. We're dissecting this, but on the program of the biggest promoter of all time, on his television show, on a pre-recorded Raw, Shawn Michaels said, Bret Hart, looks like you've been seeing some sunny days. So why are we shitting on Tony Khan? Because we think Punk, he has no control. He has no control. He's all this stuff.
That's not what I'm saying.
Vince has had people shoot on his own program before. Like Hogan has.
No, it's not about not having
Austin's
control. No.
walked out. Like, and people are acting like Vince always had control. These guys are animals. They're independent contractors. They want to fight for their spot. Punk might have said something off the cuff, but who knows? Maybe he said something to Tony Khan and Adam Page and says, hey, we're going to have that rematch soon, right? And Tony Khan could be like, yeah, I don't know when. We're going to get this pay-per-view out of the way, and then we're probably going to revisit your program later. Okay,
I'm going to go out and do some shit. Go ahead.
And
that's what I'm saying.
You know, Punk could be turning heel, which I hope he does.
No, that's
because like he's a much better heel than he is face.
To me,
he's a much better heel. He sucks as a.
That's why the part. Well, because people are booing him already, and that's the part. That's why I'm saying I'm hoping it's a work. No, Tony Khan said he is the full, like, he's the solo creative booking guy that calls the shots.
But my point is, do people go into business for themselves? Sure. But what people like to paint, when it happens to Vince, I never see Vince has lost control. Not one fucking time. But yet when it happens with Tony Khan, or people think that it happens, they're like, oh, he sucks. He's not in control. He's a fucking
I don't know about that.
Are you fucking crazy? Like, it's pro wrestling.
No, because
they're all going to go into business.
And Jess, I don't think anybody here thinks that. Just, I mean, nobody.
No,
I don't believe anybody on this call does. But I mean, like, the general narrative is
written.
Well,
people
come on,
love
Vince,
to shit on him, and I'm
because
like,
Vince,
guys, like, he's giving you an alternative product. He's trying. Is it perfect? No.
Because Vince,
we just reviewed the first Monday Night War head to head, right, last week, and it was fucking trash on both sides.
That was.
So come on, and both those companies ended up sparking the revolution at that point. Like,
I just feel like
I just get sick of all the People
for
think
one,
they got something. I got an edge, and I'm going to write this. I'm like, fuck you. Go back to your basement. Like,
I'll get to some more writings. Why might say
that's my point of view, Dave. Is what you think is like that. You have these people that are third and fourth rate. They're just fucking people like us. And then they just literally copy, off the top program. Yeah, they copy and they copy and they copy.
So, what I was gonna say though is I think CM Punk. I could see CM Punk because I mean, come on, CM Punk does have that reputation of kind of being a diva. So I could see him just kind of being a brat about it and like wanting to do that. But
says who though? I mean,
don't.
A lot of people have said that about Punk.
I swear to God, if you
like people that don't, a lot of people say that about Hogan too.
Don't make me.
I mean, but was it true?
They said it about everybody. They said about
really.
They said about Michaels.
I mean, some things.
Nash.
It ain't gonna work for me, brother.
Austin.
So maybe it didn't work for him. Maybe it didn't work for him.
That's what happens when you're on top. Is like you get portrayed that way by everybody else that wants to be your spot.
That's a fair point, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody wants to be your spot. When you get somebody
got
like
an airplane. Yeah, Punk got a
sure. Jake Roberts is going to be like, I should have been world champion. Yeah, everybody thought they were world champion when because Hogan was selling out the buildings and they're looking around and they're seeing 18,000 people in a house show and they're like, look at the crowd cheer for me. Okay, Jake, you would never have been world champion. You wouldn't have sold out that building. Somebody else did. It's easy to say that. So yeah, Hogan. That doesn't work for me, brother. Maybe it didn't work for him, and it probably won't work in the long run. Like,
well, that's the thing.
You're gonna make me. You're gonna make me do this right now because you just made me do it. I'm actually going to
defend Hogan.
But my exception with Michaels is Michaels would be a dick on like when he kicked Vader in the fucking head.
Well, that's the thing. We're not.
You don't do that shit. Like you can be a diva in the back all you want.
That's why I'm saying it. I could see it not being a work and CM Punk probably because of known backstage. I could see it. I hope it's a work because I think it'd be the greatest heel turn if you go heel. If you use this as a work, it'd be awesome.
He's too good on the mic, man, to not be heel.
That's the problem.
Yeah. I hope it's a work.
Punk is so good on the mic. Everybody believes that there's really beef. That's how good he is. And no, hold on. Don't do it, cuz. Don't do it. What happens is, he's a diva. Okay, he's really good on the mic, so he's a diva and he's going into business for himself. He did pipe bombs. They could cut his mic whenever they wanted to. They agreed to let him go out and do that in the WWE. Why does everybody think that Punk got to do whatever he wanted to do? He got to do what he wanted within the constraints of the machine. And he did great. I am not a Punk fan. You're making me defend him, and I'm getting a little pissed about it.
Yes, I love this show. This is my favorite episode.
When he comes back to AEW and he delivers his promo on that day, people are crying, bro. I even was a little moved when he came back, and I'm not a Punk fan, but I get really sick of when Punk puts on a really good promo, which he's one of the best at, if not the best right now, active with
and
everyone's like, he's going into business for himself. He's a diva. Knock it off. He's really good at what he does. Did, just enjoy it and shut the fuck up.
My only point is first of all, I love that we're all talking about it, right? Because Twitter was on fire after that promo and all the articles. So that's good that he creates this kind of attention coming out of a Dynamite.
That's why I said I hope it's a work. I hope it was all like, that's what I was trying to say earlier. I have
no doubt.
I hope it is.
If it is a shoot, if it's a shoot though,
even if it's a shoot,
my only point is, it's like I can do whatever I want, but he's too sensitive. He can say whatever he wants in a promo, and if he's that slight and petty, and he can go into business for himself because he thinks Adam Page did it, he is a diva. And he does have like an ego, and he's well known for being a very, very stubborn man, and that's why he jumps. But
that's fine. Do you believe that?
I believe he's petty. Absolutely.
Besides Mick Foley, who wasn't a diva when they were world champion? Who wasn't in Vince's ear or whoever's ear going, it's not working for me.
Like, true.
Even Bret Hart. Are you kidding me? Bret Hart all the time was like, you're going to scoop my heat. He was on tape. You're trying to scoop my
heat. I hope it's a word.
Yeah.
I hope
Flair. Mick Foley and Flair might be the only two people that
I hope it. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I hope it's clever enough to where they're like, hey, I had this reputation. Triple H and all of them said I was this backstage, and then Paige, you cut this promo on me. Let's fucking bring that in. Blah 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 blah.
Straight up, it's not clever enough, but Punk is clever enough, and that's the difference. They have free reign there, not total free reign, but they have a little more control of what they can say. It's not that it's that clever; it's that Punk is that clever. God,
but is he okay? Is he okay if he banishes Colt Cabana to Ring of Honor?
What I'm saying is, I hope it was more of that. I hope it's more of that than him actually being a crybaby about it.
That story, Craig, let me know.
Like that's my whole thing. And the thing I was saying about Tony Khan was how many of these guys, like, I don't know, I get pissed because like you see someone like Wardlow, right? Like he was getting these fucking massive pops. He went out there, he squashed MJF. He was becoming like their biggest star. I mean, he still gets cheers.
That's
don't
a
get me
whole
wrong.
other discussion.
But
yeah.
it's just like everything. It's like it gets a nice fiery start, and then it just kind of fizzles out. Miro,
and that is fair critique on Tony Khan, right?
But that's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm like, I don't believe it necessarily.
Let him make those mistakes. Let him make those mistakes. He's going to, and you're totally right. Actually, I feel the same way that you do about Wardlow. Like I felt. I'm ruining our other episode right now. But I mean, like, I felt legit organic groundswell for him. And I was like, dude, this is cool as shit, man. It's not an internet darling. It's not like a Omega, which I love Omega. I love Omega. I love his performance. I love everything. But it's like, it's not an ex-WWE star like Punk or Bryan or whoever or Moxley. It's this guy that nobody knew really before. He just did indies.
Could you argue he's a Goldberg, like close to a Goldberg, like that?
But
I thought he was more of a Brock.
He's more talented, but like he's like, I think he's the version of Goldberg and the Warrior that might work if he's nurtured right. And I'm not shitting on those other guys. They had their place in history. I mean, I'll shit on them individually, sure. But I mean, like right now, I'm not going to shit on them.
I'm going to say Goldberg and Warrior.
Because they all had their places in wrestling history. But when that wall hit and they couldn't grow and learn anymore, I think Wardlow has like unlimited potential. He's smart. He's an athlete. Like I think it's great. I agree with Cuz. I don't want to go off on the tangent because we're going to run too long.
That's my whole thing. I think,
and that comes from having an overcrowded roster. It comes from an inexperienced guy who has his heart in the right place. Because I don't think Tony Khan's a bad person. I don't have any evidence to say that he's a shitty guy or he doesn't know how to run something.
Give it time.
But
give it time. Well, it'll be bad.
When you have all these things in your hands, look at all my shiny toys. It's like, but you can only show one toy off per rating segment. Oh fuck.
I
have all these toys though. It's like, no, I know you have all these toys.
He only has so many ears to give to wrestlers and people and personalities, and those that know how to do it best.
And I think he's going to learn. I also too. Last week,
the
week before, Cuz didn't he restructure? Like Madison Rayne is now over the women's, and then like he's starting to departmentalize like his backstage area.
He is, and
so that's cool.
that's why my thing. That's what I was trying to say was like, in my heart, I hope it's a work. I hope it's all that blah blah blah. But I also don't have faith because of all these things of like, I don't have faith for him to be like, let's do this idea and blah, blah, blah. Because I see all these like fiery starts like Miro, Bryan Danielson, all these guys. Like what's going on with Ring of Honor right now? It looks like it's just a faction that's wrestling on AEW. It doesn't even look like it's its own thing right now.
Yeah, I don't know if he's having trouble with maybe he's having trouble getting TV
deals. If you believe everything, a lot of people are not happy with the way Tony Khan is backstage, his unprofessionalism supposedly, don't know. Apparently, he's really bad in the headset. He yells at people on the headset too. He's unprofessional backstage.
Wait, are you talking about Vince? Or are you talking about Tony Khan?
Tony Khan. No, Tony. Yeah, exactly. Though that's
so there's no difference. That's what I'm saying. There's no difference. Like there's no difference.
There is no difference.
But we want to talk about like how you were saying if Vince does this, no one complains.
But that's what I'm saying. You specifically said like he's got a bad attitude. No one's ever said that Vince has a bad attitude. I've never fucking heard that phrase used to describe Vince.
People talk about it.
No, people talk about he's a dick on the headset, but not one person has said like he's uncontrollable.
I mean, what's the difference?
He's crazy. Like people are just like he's fucking mean to me. Like
how many times have we heard like the comments that he makes backstage or the crude
Yeah, but no matter what.
They follow it up with he has every right to do that, and then he's an alpha male, and
but
it's never like he's
if it's Vince or Tony, it's like it's their company. They can do whatever the fuck they want. Like if you don't like it, get the fuck out.
But Tony Khan doesn't have that right because his name's not Vince McMahon, and so it's like, come on, they both do the same thing. I'm not saying they're the same person.
Give him 30 years, maybe.
And I'm not saying either or is right. Like I'm not saying Vince is right. Like I think he's a dick
right.
For doing all that stuff.
I'm not saying you're saying that he's right, but I'm saying like the critique is not slung fairly both ways.
Can we just enjoy? Can you just enjoy that product?
Right. I agree with Dave. Honestly,
I'm a very
I saw the promo. I laughed at a lot of stuff Punk said. Moxley's promo was good. Like
Moxley, I love what Moxley said. Everything Moxley said.
I don't have the ability to watch AEW right now because I'm cheap. But when I watch
too. God damn it! Hate being cheap.
But the three of these guys they text about AEW and they're enjoying it, and I'm just like, why can't everybody else just enjoy it? It's awesome. The work is great, so just enjoy that, and enjoy the fact that CM Punk has you spun right now with a great promo. Like, we didn't question the promo and when Ultimate Warrior was ranting on WCW for 30 minutes. and almost blew a commercial. Like we were just like, wow, that was weird. But Punk cuts a great promo, and everybody's questioning it. Like, well, he wasn't supposed to do that. Like,
if he was, like, if he really wasn't,
the Monday Night Wars were going on right now with the internet, with the level of internet.
I'd understand if Adam
like,
Page was pissed though.
The
That's kind of fucked up.
Sucked.
If Adam Page,
if spontaneity of it, like, oh yeah, I saw Scott Hall on WCW, but like, I heard backstage that blah 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 this was going on. You're like, just shut up, dude. It was a fucking
so I've always been of that thing, like, when you hear a wrestler gets de-pushed and they're like, well, why? Like, I'll hear a podcast with Bruce or whatever, and Connor will be like, so why didn't you push him? Like, he was hot, he was organically getting over, he just had a bad attitude. Like, okay, look. A lot of people have bad attitudes. Like, especially when you're in that environment, how can you not have a bad attitude sometimes? You're hurt, you're fucking
Warrior
tired.
Had a shitty attitude.
You're politically
Really
fighting for your position every 30 seconds. You're trying to pretend. I can't really speak the truth on this because that person will tell that person. So, like, there's so many, like, different angles to look at it at. But to me, I'm like, I don't care, right? Like, what we saw when the Warrior was popular was we saw something that was cool.
The greatest wrestler.
Even though I didn't like the Warrior, he was a force. Like, I didn't care. Like, later people are like, oh, he didn't want to learn. I'm like, yeah, but Vince put the title on
look what he did.
And I think Vince got soured. So later on, when guys like that would come through, like even Ryback started to get over pretty organically.
He
like
did.
for a while there. Like, and then all of a sudden, why did you make? I think that was a fight that Conrad got into with Bruce. He's like, why did you guys make Mark Henry beat him clean at WrestleMania and his undefeated streak? You shit on him. He was never the same. Well, Ryback needed to be brought down to earth, but you put him up in orbit. Yeah, but he needed to be brought down. Yeah, but you put him up though.
But see, that was
but
Vince's,
he needed
like,
to. But you fucking and Conrad's getting mad.
Vince's
He's like,
style.
you did it. Like, you told us that he was unbeatable and he was cool and he was edgy and we bought it. And then, but because backstage he maybe seemed to you like he didn't appreciate the opportunity he was given, you make Mark Henry beat him at WrestleMania clean in the middle and end everything. And then he doesn't get a good response after that. See, he wasn't something special after all, was he? Well, you killed him though. No, it's all fake. It's all scripted. We know Bruce, but that's the mentality that Vince had because Bruce is the parent of Vince. Like,
what sucks? They actually could have rebounded because I think it was the next night on Raw, right? Was it the next night on Raw where Mark Henry was beating up Cena, and Ryback came out to help Cena, and everyone, they cheered and everything, and then Ryback clotheslined Cena and turned heel, and everyone went crazy. And he held up the title, and that fucking arena erupted when Ryback grabbed the title from Cena and held it up.
I remember when
and they could have
recapitalized
on it, man.
When Punk was champion, he's like, you know what? I'm leaving. I'm not defending the title. I've beaten everybody. There's nobody new for me. And then he turns around, and it was a perfect camera shot. Ryback standing right there. The place popped, like the building shook.
Yep.
And I was like, dude, there it is right there.
So
but he wasn't ready, though. Ryback wasn't ready. I'm like, but on screen, you were telling us that he was.
So,
tell me the story.
I'm glad you recognize that. I'm glad you recognize that.
Yeah, like, tell me the story. No. Tell me the story. I don't care.
I'm glad you recognize that.
Yeah.
That is that's my gripe with the stuff that's booked in AEW, because like you have those moments and then they fizzle out, they fumble it somehow and they fizzle out, and I'm like, come on, man. Like with Christian, I feel like that thing just fucking deflated. He was on a tear.
That's Christian,
dude. Wardlow, Christian, Miro, all these guys.
Did you shit on Christian, you bastard?
And how much of our opinion of Ryback is from the Punk podcast with Cabana, when he buried him with all those stories of like how much of the internet wrestling community's not letting Ryback back in the fans is Punk.
Punk
vilified Ryback. That's what I'm saying. Ryback should be in AEW right now.
And that's why at the same time, like, there is a good reason to like kind of like, have a little, about Punk, because it's like, that's kind of fucked up. Like, we don't know
power. You can,
like the writers, the people that write these articles, like stuff that Punk says too. I'm like, was it really that way though? Like, or are you just being a bitch? Like, I don't know. Like,
I think the truth always lies in the middle, right? I think the truth always lies somewhere in the middle.
So that's why I'm like, if Punk really did go into business for himself, whatever, it makes for good TV. And that's why I actually would argue that point. Well, Tony Khan wouldn't have let him say that. Well, I know, actually, I think if Tony Khan was smart, at least at that point, you would let him. It doesn't matter. You would let him because it gets the attention. But at the same time, it's like you buried Ryback on the podcast. I would
put a decent amount of money that he ran it by Khan, and Khan said, that sounds amazing.
He may have.
That's all I'm saying.
But if he didn't, and then that makes Adam Page look like a bit, like, not that he's a bitch, but that's kind of fucked up to Adam Page too at that point, because he's supposed to be one of your top baby faces.
Maybe next week we'll all be eating our words, and Adam Page will come out and have another scathing promo, and then
I hope so.
Then guess what? I hope. Hey, guess what? Get better. Get better.
I hope so. I hope that's what happens next week. I hope we, well, he's got to fight Moxley for right now, so maybe after, the Moxley Punk match. But see, then what's that all about? That Moxley and Punk are going to be fighting next week for the title now instead of the pay-per-view.
You know, cuz let him take us on a ride.
No, I think it's. I think he's.
Enjoy the
Well,
ride.
no, that's for sure.
We saw title matches.
It has us
every
talking
week.
about it. It has us talking about it.
Come on.
Well,
Well,
I
no,
was
but it
talking
was
about it,
supposed
but
to
at the same time, like he must have something different. It could be a 3-way. Maybe it could be Paige, Moxley, and Punk at the
You know what it
You
is?
need to explain what you
No,
just said.
you know what it is. It's
Could be a
MJF.
double DQ.
Maybe
Smosh.
MJF.
no. I think it's more like
MJF.
I'm coming for you, Tony. I'm in charge now of the WWE. And Tony Khan's like, shit, throw everything into the wall now because I'm freaking out.
I don't know why. Why is he freaking out though?
Who cares?
You just said
He
yourself
shouldn't-
that no.
he really
You
shouldn't
just
be.
said yourself that
And-
nobody is opposing them on Wednesdays. Why would Tony Khan care that
He
Triple H
doesn't
is in
give a
charge? He doesn't give a
shit.
shit. And by the
Yeah,
way,
you never know.
And by
You
the
never
way,
know.
the bigger the WWE is, the better AEW is going to do.
For sure.
Well, right now, all of
Yeah.
wrestling is in a better position. But see, that's the thing too. It's like
Tony, I
If
guarantee you, that was a narrative. If we would have done the unscripted last week, that was like the hot topic last week, the week before, right? Was like Tony Khan's panicking. No, he's not. He's doing the same.
not
fucking thing he always
panicking.
did.
No, I wouldn't say
panicking
panicking, but
at
I
all.
just
Why
hope he
would
doesn't
he?
start doing stupid shit that makes no sense. Just to like,
Well, I mean,
hey, we
according
can-
to
we
you,
can
he's
do better.
always been doing that.
I mean, he does do a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense. A lot
So
of their
what's
matches don't make
different?
sense.
Like, you know what I
Everyone is just fucking doing their whole fucking flippity doos just to do it without telling the story in the ring.
Well, unfortunately, though, I have to say,
But that's the style of the time.
I was just gonna say
Well, then
that.
it's
Like,
garbage.
I hate it too.
Well,
I like storytelling.
and
I
it's
like.
garbage.
you might
It's
not
your
like it,
opinion.
but like that's
You
just
know,
like
You don't have to
I
watch
like
it.
some
I don't-
matches that
Don't
you know.
watch
Are
No, I
solid.
like-
I still
like
watch
that
it.
overall. But
when
like,
Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle and all those guys started coming out with the
I'm
like
sure
that
some
new
people hated that
things-
too, Joe.
that
right?
ring set.
Yeah.
All the old guys were like, "What is this bullshit?" You know, like how many
This
times
is
did
not
Bruno Sammartino?
wrestling.
You know, like in the late '80s, Bruno Sammartino was like, "All
They're
this
still
cartoon
selling though.
bullshit."
They're still selling.
Old
story, though.
guys don't
yeah,
like
there's
what new
a
guys
lost
do.
art of psychology.
the
I
bottom
do
line.
feel,
There's still
but-
yeah.
but
But like you're
I don't know
supposed
if
to be.
again. I don't think that's Tony Khan's fault. I
And
think
that's
that
the
was
other
happening long
problem I
before
have.
that.
Well, I don't know, but the other thing too is like you're supposed to be telling me that you're the pro wrestling organization too. So like
Well, they told you that
I
at
wanna-
one press conference, and the guy who said it, by the
They
way, is
still
working
call
for
it pro
WWE right now. So I wish you would let that go and just watch
Let-
the products.
No.
Let
I
it
really
go.
do.
I do watch it. I watch it every
Because
week.
you like a lot.
I
You like a
DVR
lot
it.
of the wrestlers there. You
Hey,
like a lot
man,
of
I
the
do.
athletes there.
Orange
I watch it every week.
Cassidy, Orange Cassidy
I
does
love
his
the
bit,
Acclaim.
You hate it, right? Orange
Who?
Cassidy does his bit. You hate it, right? You hate it.
I like
how
when he
many
wrestles.
People are behind it, of course. But when he does his bit, you hate it. How many people go nuts about it? So why?
I
would
hate
he
it and I
stop?
don't.
And why
He
would
probably
Tony
sells a
Khan
ton of
make it
T-shirts
stop?
too.
Oh, I bet he does.
Without the bit,
No,
Orange
I
Cassidy
popped.
is nothing.
I popped when he had that match with Neville. At, what was the
I've
pay per
seen
view?
you complain about
That's
his
good.
gimmick.
I
though.
do, but
I've
I
seen
popped
you
though.
be-
I
Well,
text
then
I
guess
text
there's
you
nothing
guys.
to talk about
I,
then.
I
guess we're
text you guys
fine.
during that match. I said, dude, like I'm loving this. Like when he started actually wrestling and stopped the whole like slow mo stuff.
There's no
I
doubt
like Darby
that he
Allen.
can-
They've
he
done
can
pretty well with Darby Allen.
I like Darby
He's
Allin.
really good.
Yeah, I like Darby Allin.
He's awesome.
He reminds me of Jesse from Breaking Bad. His face.
There's
I don't know why.
There's plenty of great stuff on there to watch. I don't.
There is. I watch it every week.
It's,
I DVR it every week.
I think it's fantastic that you complain about it so much and you fucking DVR it.
That's been my
Dude.
point from the beginning. We're never going to get through to him, Dave.
What?
We're going to get through to
Well,
him.
okay,
You
before
went out
before
of your
We'll,
way to
we'll
set
get
a
off this
weekly
call, and
DVR
he will send me a link right now shitting on AEW as soon as we get off the call. I
Yeah.
promise
because it's
you.
fun.
I promise
Be-
you it's going to happen. He'll
You-
wait till
you've
tomorrow morning
you've-
because I called him out on it. But like he'll
No, I
That's
won't.
fantastic.
Because you know my
That's
whole thing has
fantastic.
always been, and I've always said this. I've said it on
Craig's trying not
podcasts.
to laugh over
I've said it in text messages. I've always said that if you're going to criticize WWE for doing stupid shit, you have to criticize AEW.
But
for the
who's
same
they?
thing.
Who are you talking to right now? Your inner
It's-
demons?
it's-
Your inner voices?
Yeah, I hear voices
dude.
in my head.
I don't
and
understand.
They talk
What-
to me,
but
and they.
What is that like? You need to write your own theme song, cuz.
Well
Like
played.
voices in your head.
How many times when we were watching, like, especially when it was really bad, WWE, and we're texting each other, I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, this is fucking stupid. Oh, this is fucking garbage. I do the same thing for WWE. So, I complain about both of them.
I look forward
Sometimes.
to those texts.
But I don't think
No, not
AEW
sometimes.
is universally loved as you think it is. I think we all shit on it and call bullshit when it's bullshit. You have a tremendous hard on
I do it on
sometimes for
purpose, and I've
AEW.
always said this too. Like,
Mhm.
no, I still like it. I've ordered pay-per-views. I've gone to Justice House to
Yeah.
watch pay-per-views. We went to AEW in Ontario. I still watch it. I bought AEW fucking t-shirts.
I know. You're
My whole
making my
thing
point
is-
for me, by the way.
My whole
This is what I
my
say
whole
to you
thing-
all the time.
No, my whole thing is it's like you're not supposed to, according to the internet, you're not supposed to criticize AEW, but you criticize WWE all you
Who's
want. So
I don't
just
know
like,
what you're talking about.
yeah, you do. You read all the shit that I read. Come on.
But no, you posted. You make me read it.
Yeah, that is not.
And I don't open half of it.
Well, we all talk about like what the internet.
We have distinctly
everyone
very different
says.
rabbit holes.
My whole thing is
right now.
But you're talking
like
to
to troll
an
sometimes,
I've always said it from the beginning. You hate today's wrestling fan, and I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that you hate today's wrestling fan, but you're taking.
It depends on what wrestling fan.
Poor Tony
depends on
Khan can't take your barrage because he's gonna.
I don't like people that are
not
not genuine. I don't think he's genuine.
He's a sensitive boy.
He's a sensitive, skinny man that likes to hug his talent hard.
No, I don't like people that are not genuine. I don't like people that are not genuine. I don't think he's genuine. That's my problem.
You don't like people that
I
don't like people that are not genuine
and not genuine in a kayfabe world. I think that's amazing.
I guess as long as
I'm not
all of
talking
us
about
talking,
from the
right?
kayfabe world. I'm not.
I guess as long as they keep selling out and has all of us talking, it's all
well.
good
Like
in the long run.
Eric Bischoff would say, "Hey, cash. Controversy creates cash." Conrad, and this what's that girl that he promotes all the time? The opposite of Traeger.
Who? What?
The man
Eric Bischoff.
Oh,
what is it? I don't know. It's like the Traeger grill, but it's like a different brand. Fuck.
Oh god, I can't remember. Yeah.
Controversy creates.
I want a rock hard erection.
The blue chew. I was gonna say the blue chew grill.
Yeah, the blue chew.
No!
I have to do this right now because I know we're in 41 minutes. So
I was gonna say
talking about Conrad's podcast. So we were just talking about how they shrill everything. Like they sell dick pills. They sell fucking chili sleep. You sleep better. They sell the AE1 greens where you take it. It's like a vitamin supplement. Podcast. Like Conrad is a massive man, and I'm not making fun of massive people, but he's a massive man. You would think he'd be the healthiest and hardest erectioned person in the world. Because he does all. I do chili sleep and I take AE greens and I take Blue Chew. I'm
that man eats a lot of pasta that's not being sponsored on the show.
So one of the things that they've been doing now is they've been trying to get wrestlers to like sponsor there's Powerbomb Pizza. There's Powerbomb Pizza and it's owned by Pro Wrestling Tees and they do it. So they just launched something called Woo Wings. And Flair is like the sponsor of it. The name of the
that sounds amazing, by the way, on its face.
The name of the company or the product is called Woo Wings. That's the name of it.
AEW.
So I heard Flair doing a promo for it, and I laughed so fucking hard, and I was like, God, there's got to be outtakes. So I go on YouTube, and they have just the regular thing. So Flair, I'm just gonna play it, and I'm gonna laugh really hard. I've been laughing at this for like the last 2 days because he can't get the name right. The name of the wings is
love Ric Flair, by the way.
Wings. That's the name of the wings. But Flair, in his mind, is like, no, you got to turn woo into the word wings. So you have to go wings, which is not what the name of the company is. So I'm going to play.
Legendary flavors. World Championship wings.
God damn it.
Woo! Wings.
Boo! Wings.
That's the raw. We'll do it again.
Wings. Legendary flavors. World Championship wings. Woo! Woo wings. Yeah.
He stutters because he
I'm
can't.
telling you, dude. It sounds like an infomercial on South Park.
World Championship wings. Woo! Woo wings.
And the second one, he tried hard. He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get it right this time." Woo wings! Like he's just trying.
He's hammered. I didn't notice it before. He's hammered doing that read.
I don't know why I've been laughing. It's probably not that funny to everybody else, but I've been laughing for like 2 days at that shit.
So
no, it's great.
I wanted to bring this up though. Before, this could be the closing.
Crying.
This could be the closing thing right here.
Tony Khan.
No, you're right. We're going back to that because
Wings.
That's ridiculous.
Wings.
So wings.
Fucking shit.
Conrad's out. Flair, you gotta woo wings.
Go to Geico.com and get your dick
Go
hard.
to Tony Khan. He'll train you.
Someday we'll have sponsors.
This was the last talking point.
Yeah,
though.
right. When we get like huge and popular, I'll be like, guys, speaking of hard, I want to be rock hard. Like we're gonna have to fucking do it. We're gonna have to do it. Guys, speaking of good wings, Woo Wings is the best fucking wing. I'm gonna have to do it. I know it. It's gonna be my curse.
Tony Khan.
I'm sorry, guys. Close it out. I'm sorry.
Tony Khan comparing himself to Paul Heyman.
We are going back to Tony Khan.
Yeah, that's what I said. I wanted to bring this up, but I wanted to let him do the wing thing.
Well, I mean.
Wait, what's the quote? Cause
why is Paul Heyman better? Is my question to you.
Hold on. Let me read you. Let me read you what he said. Like just to get to that point. the person I have people come up to me and say, as far as being a fan who was around pro wrestling and wrestlers for a long time and then jumped into the business, the person I think I get compared to most often, you remind me of this person. I think we're really different people, and I haven't talked to him or gotten to see him in a really long time. But Paul Heyman.
I mean, why? Okay, why do you disagree with that?
For one, what do you mean? Why?
Why do you disagree with that?
I think Paul Heyman is a better booker. I think he's a better mind. I'm not saying, like I said,
but he's so great financially, right? I mean,
I was just gonna say that.
What does that have to do with
like
anything?
He bounced checks left and right.
There's music artists out there that we've never heard of that are probably better than mainstream music artists. Like, what does that have to do with
the other one went bankrupt?
But what does that have to do with booking?
I do think that Paul Heyman's incredibly creative. For sure.
I think he's more creative, way more creative. But
I think he's creative. I think he's creatively a genius. I don't think that he can run a wrestling organization. Well, I think there's a difference.
Well, yeah, there's a big difference, but he's referring to as
and that's what Tony's trying to say. He's like, I don't think we're that much alike.
No, he's saying that.
No, they are. People compare him. He's saying people tell me that they remind me of Paul Heyman.
Yeah, but he disagrees.
No, he didn't say that. He just said that's who. Okay. Well, he's not saying agree or disagree.
He's saying that when people stop him and they talk to him or whatever, like they're like, oh, who you remind me of Paul Heyman, like basically.
He's humble. He's humble bragging big time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I get that, and I get how that can trigger some people too. But I think also Paul Heyman is a great salesman, and like he's just sold himself for a year, and now he has the biggest machine ever behind him, and he's amazing with Brock Lesnar, and he's an amazing mind. I'm not dissing Paul Heyman at all. I'm just saying
great with Roman. Yeah,
he had his shortcomings a lot. You want
to see a humble brag? Just go watch Vince McMahon stand back. Just that's a humble.
Oh my god! He's got talent fucking dripping off him.
Again, I'm just trying to say, like, Jess, this is your point. Like, no one talks about that shit with Vince McMahon. That was some horse shit right there.
Along the way, you're going to see a lot of men drop.
So, maybe it was an anniversary. Maybe it was an anniversary recently, but
all the fucking time and people trashing on it.
But maybe I don't know if I don't know if an anniversary came up on that like recently. But Chris Jericho posted that on social media. He did. He's like, I will fight anyone that says this isn't the greatest moment in wrestling history.
He did say that. Brilliant. And Hogan back there not playing the fucking bass.
Yeah, not playing the bass.
Fucking perfect.
He's all, brother, gotta play that. Tune it to B, brother.
Oh, wrestling's fun, everybody. What are we fighting for? Tony Khan's the best. Vince McMahon's the best. Paul Heyman's
the best.
But Triple H is the best.
But what I will say, I hate when people say
wrestling. We seem to be entertained each and every week.
I hate people that say wrestling sucks right now. I'm like, what? Really?
That's
crazy.
The stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
It's crazy to say that.
The work is the greatest work you've ever seen.
That should combine everyone to be like, what you say? Like, pointing at the people that say wrestling.
If you think wrestling sucks now, you obviously didn't watch wrestling in 1995.
Correct.
So. Yeah. Dude, we had to suffer through Diesel and Mabel. What is everybody talking about?
At least that stuff was actually bad, like in WWE and WCW, like in 93, 94, 95.
Yeah.
So
go watch Isaac Yankem.
If you'd have to watch Isaac Yankem, the Shockmaster, Diesel, and Mabel live, then you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, really.
Oh my god.
We've been through separate wars altogether.
So really quick, everyone's opinion really quick. This could be the ending. What does everyone think since Triple H has taken over the main? I think it's been pretty good.
It's fine.
It's been a lot better.
To me, it's been so much more watchable. I like pro wrestling. I love watching even today on SmackDown, like to see the women, the tag title tournament match that they were having. It was one of the brackets they were doing today. It was like Sonya and Natalie against the Toxic.
Yeah, Toxic Attraction.
Toxic Attraction. Like it was sloppy at times, but what I appreciated was to watch them wrestle in long form. They're going to get better from it. They've cut house shows down, so they don't have as much working time now. So like when they're in the ring now, it's fucking on television. That's a lot of pressure, especially for young people. And so I'm like, let them work it out a little bit more.
Go watch TV wrestling back in 1988.
Yeah, give these guys and girls some times, man. Like to get there's no house shows anymore. There's no give them time in front of the cameras. They're gonna fuck up now, but they'll be so much better in a couple years. Like let them do it. I love that about Triple H. I do. Like I think that it's been more watchable. I think that he hasn't gone out of his way to do a ton of big moments. Yeah, we did see a tractor lift a fucking ring, but that was on a pay-per-view. But I mean, other than that,
might have been before.
I feel him on purpose not pushing the envelope, and I love that because that means he's waiting. That means he's just trying to. I think he needs to get the talent ready. I was talking to someone by text, one of my old coworkers, and he was just asking me. He watches wrestling too, but we only touch base every few months here and there. And he was like, God, like, how do you think Triple H is going to do in the long run? I said, he's got one thing he has to do first. If he does that thing wrong, he's going to fuck himself. He cannot try to win the audience back over first. He's got to win the locker room over first. You have a whole locker room of people that were used to being hindered, used to being told you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that move because so-and-so does that move, or people will think of Undertaker if you do that move. You can't wear that color because that reminds people of this person. That's gone. And Triple H is trying. He's got to win the locker room over first and get them confident in doing promos with no scripts and doing a lot of things like on a tightrope like they used to do. So once he wins the locker room over, then he's going to win the fans over. It's going to be an automatic happening. So by letting these guys and girls wrestle longer matches, and I'm not saying they should wrestle 30 minutes every week or whatever.
No.
It's going to make them better. They're going to be confident in him because he's probably going to be like, go out there and just do it. Yeah, I flubbed like 3 moves, Triple H. I'm sorry. So? I fucked up moves all the time. It's viral. There's a viral thing of me pedigreeing a prelim and almost killing him.
There's going to be some changes. I know you've seen them. I personally don't think it's going to be that big of a difference. I really don't.
It's going to take a while before you.
No, I think I disagree. I think actually having someone in charge that is a wrestling fan and enjoys wrestling and wants to put a wrestling product on is definitely going to have a positive impact in the in the short term and the long run.
I get what you're saying, a big difference. Is it really going to be that different? Has the work really been that bad? I mean, if you're talking about storyline, that's something else. Like Jess is talking about, flub the line, it's fine.
To me, like anything that's on TV is the product. Like it's storyline, promos.
I will say,
and the wrestling itself.
No, Brother Love said if it was online, it was meant to
ties in together.
In other words, I think that you have to know how to wrestle a good 30-minute match to wrestle a good 5-minute match.
I was
not the other way around. And I think that's the problem. Like, I always talk about Owen Hart and 1-2-3 Kid, the best 5-minute match I've ever seen from King of the Ring 94. Right, sure. They could wrestle an hour if they wanted to with each other. But because they were that good, they could wrestle a 5-minute match.
I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because I'm glad you brought that up because last week, the next one, it was Owen Hart. Oh, Jesus Christ. Owen Hart and who right now? 1-2-3 Kid and who else? Who else had a 5-minute? DiBiase and somebody? Right, had a 5-minute match.
DiBiase and Owen Hart of all people. It's funny how
Well, and then wasn't Mr. Perfect and someone.
Perfect had
a 5-minute match. Blue Blazer.
It was Owen as well.
Okay, yeah. So last week you had your next installment in that Dolph Ziggler and Chad Gable on Raw had a 6-minute match. Fucking great match.
It tore it down
because they both know what they're doing.
I hear the names. I'm not even concerned about it. Yeah,
totally. But if you take 2 wrestlers that you know aren't ready and you purposely say, well, I only go 4 minutes because you guys don't know enough, they're only going to know how to give you a shitty 4-minute match. But if you get 2 people in there that could wrestle an hour if you ask them to, but you're like, give me 7 minutes, including entrances, they're going to be like, all right, we're going to go talk in the corner for 5 minutes and we'll see you out in the ring. They'll know right what to do. It's not even going to be like a problem for them. So that's what I mean. Triple H has got to win the talent over first. He's got to stretch the wrestling. He's got to let them fuck up a little bit, let them flub some moves, let them flub some promos. And they're going to be like, oh, because they're used to the old management going, well, then you're not ready for TV. Get the fuck out of here. Triple H is going to be like, I'm going to put you back on next week. Well, but I fucked up. I know. But you'll be fine. You'll be better. There's a meme going around of Triple H fucking almost pedigreeing and killing a man, like one of the prelims back in '95.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's Triple H. He fucking almost killed somebody. He's like, I fucked that up, but he got a chance to fucking air his shit out. He was wrestling house shows. He was wrestling fucking prelims.
He was wrestling 250 days out of the year.
Yeah, so you're going to get better. Work that out. You can't be afraid to let them wrestle a long time if you don't give them the chance to fuck up. They're going to fuck up. Let them go out there for 10 minutes and fuck up. And then just be like, do you know what you did wrong? Yeah, I did, and this and that. Okay, slow the fuck down. We're going to give you another try. And then after a while, like I said, the guys that are having the best 5 or 6 minute matches and the ones that probably never bitch when they're like, oh man, sorry, we're running short on time right now. With entrances, you guys are only going to get 8 minutes. The pros, I guarantee you are like, whatever. I'm fine with that. I know what I'm doing. It's no big deal.
To go with Dave, we'll end it like this. To go with Dave and against Dave. Dave, as far as the in-ring work, you're right. Because I will say, because we always get blindsided by the shitty storylines, angles that Vince was putting on for us. Great. The work has actually been good. If you go back and watch the last 2 or 3 years of pay-per-views, almost every match on every pay-per-view was fucking good. But Dave, also to say that there's not going to be a noticeable difference, just the fact that Raw, a 3-hour Raw that was unwatchable before Triple H took over, is now more watchable. I think that's already a big enough change.
They're highlighting the U.S. title. They're talking about the tag titles. I'm like, what? You still have that stuff?
Referring to the past of NXT wrestlers. And just on SmackDown tonight, I heard references to the past of stuff that they normally wouldn't have done before. I'm like, dude, it's already better, and it already it's still sports entertainment, whatever. It's feeling more like pro wrestling than a sports entertainment show now, more than it has.
It will always be entertainment. So, it's always going to be WWE. That's never going to change because it's just stockholders.
It wasn't the Attitude Era. It wasn't the Ruth Aggression. Like
the pro wrestling
see it through different lenses.
But Triple H and Shawn Michaels, I will have to say, I know Craig loves Triple H. I love Shawn Michaels, so I'm not going to try to overbrag about them. I'm just saying that they do have their fingers are more on the pulse of modern wrestling like today. They like performance and they like wrestling. I don't care who it is.
Wrestling.
If they can instill that in the locker room, we're all going to be better for it. And then when that talent eventually will sign with AEW, they're going to start spreading that over. Then they're going to get talent from AEW that's never been seen in WWF. Then they're going to teach them that way. And it's just going to fucking start spreading like a beautiful, good virus. Not like a bad virus, a beautiful, good one.
I think now
that makes all of our penises bigger, and it's just going to be great. It's going to be the best virus.
Who doesn't love that?
And speaking of bigger, Blue Chew guys, if you are having trouble in the bedroom,
this has been unscripted.
I'm getting practice. I'm getting practice on trying to segue.
You got Blue Chew. Woo!
Shut it down. Shut it down.
All right, that was unscripted. Let's end it right
Speaking of shut it down, Daves, if you like shut down flavored wings, I got the place for you.
And 6, 12, 24, honey barbecue, wings.
Right. Thanks, everybody.
All right, everybody go fuck yourself.
All right.
Mark Hour. Check. 1, 2. Check. 1, 2. Smart Mark Hour. Mark Hour. Check. 1, 2. Check. 1, 2. Smart Mark Hour. Mark Hour. Check. 1, 2. Check. 1, 2. Smart Mark Hour. Mark Hour. Check. 1, 2. Check. 1, 2. Smart Mark Hour. Mark Hour. Check. 1, 2. Check. 1, 2. Smart Mark Hour. Mark Hour. Check. 1, 2. Check. 1, 2. Smart Mark Hour. Mark Hour. Check. 1, 2. Check. 1, 2. Smart Mark Hour.